Hey, deserving listeners, sister wives. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. This is the Psychology in Seattle YouTube channel. And as I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. We all deserve it and need it sometimes. Let's watch.
And I know you're going to have to take some time to think about it, but I'm offering it wholeheartedly.
When Solomon was born, I offered to be Mary's surrogate. I offered to actually carry her baby if she wants me to. I know that Mary has been through a lot trying to have more children.
Okay, so we see here that Robin has just given birth, and she also is offering to Mary to be a surrogate. And I didn't know this. I think you have the exact same pillow. or a pillow that's very similar to that. I love that pillow, the shape. I like it to be kind of thin. I like the foam, you know what I mean? Sometimes I travel with it because hotels always have these giant feather pillows that within 3 minutes, it's like completely compressed. And you know what I mean? It's like great to fluff, and then you put your head on it. Anyway, so for Mary, she has only had one child, and she also had a miscarriage, from my understanding. And we've heard that she always wished she had more kids. And in the last episode of this series on Sister Wives, I interviewed a former member of the same religious group that they are in. And Christine Pereira, that's her name, that was the last episode, she told me that in this group, they believe that when you have a child, you are pulling from a pool of souls that are waiting to be born, and they are in the pre-existence. And when you bring them into the world, so it's like I don't have the. I know there's a whole language around this, so it's like I don't have the words for it, but they one, Christ won't come back until all of the souls have been given a chance, I think. Something like that. Also, if you bring them into the world, then you are guaranteeing that soul to be born into a good family that is going to the good afterlife, whereas for every child you don't have, they might be doomed in all likelihood to be born into a family that is wicked or isn't given a chance to be in the AOB, right? So the women, I don't know, but I imagine that they, one, just want to have kids like a lot of people do, but also that pressure and that altruistic feeling of I get to save souls by having as many children as possible. So I don't know if that's an influence here. Obviously, being born and raised in this group, that you're going to be indoctrinated into a particular point of view that this is one of the only ways that you can have self-esteem, or it's one of the only ways that you have worth. You know, they seem more well-rounded than that simple statement, but you know, I just wonder about the influence there. But you know, plenty of people, regardless of what religious group they're born into, want to have a lot of kids, and when they struggle with having kids, even if they've had one, but they want more, it's devastating. It's really, really devastating for people. So Robin seems legitimately offering to be a surrogate, which is really nice.
She's had a miscarriage once before. It was really hard on her. I know she's been through a lot of disappointment and a lot of ups and downs emotionally. You know, it's not fun sitting there just hoping every single month and then being let down.
I've been praying about it ever since we met. And I mean it. I really do mean it.
Yeah, it's nice to see, you know, the struggle of integrating Robin into the family. Seems to be going well with Mary. The family, you know, was all very happy to have the new child. And by the way, this is the very beginning of season 4. And what else can I say? The other thing, I don't know if this is motivated by Robin's attempt to become more acceptable, particularly to try to bond with Mary, because Mary might be seen as the primary wife, or so. I don't know. I don't know. The roles of the women, I'm sure, are complicated, but there could be that. It also, I don't know, this is kind of a long shot, and I don't want to say this out loud, but I will, that this could be a way for Robin to subtly and maybe even subconsciously assert her superiority over Mary. Like, let me help you out, you poor little soul. It doesn't have that look to it. It certainly looks like a wonderful exchange, and a lot of, they certainly seem to be, at least outwardly, receiving and giving this sincerely. And that's a big deal. I don't know if the other sister wives have offered this. So, why do I have to look at it negatively?
Be nice. Yes, that's great with shining on the inside. And Cody and my relationship, it's just kind of at a standstill right now. We're not really working on it at all. We're just kind of letting it just kind of sit there and hoping that somehow things are going to be better. But right now we're not really even working on it. And that's hard. That's really hard.
All right, so they're celebrating Hanukkah, and also they used to celebrate Joseph Smith's birthday, which I'm guessing is in early December. But the rest of the sister wives and Cody were never a fan of celebrating Joseph Smith's birthday. It's the founder of the Mormon Church, right? It's interesting. I wonder why they're distancing themselves. Right. I think Cody said something like, it makes it look like we're worshiping Joseph Smith, because that's what people will say about us, and so we want to distance ourselves from that and not celebrate his birthday like he's a god or something. And I'll say this, that a lot of their context as not only as polygamists as part of the AUB, but I'm guessing as a part of just the general Mormon culture, that it's almost like everything about being a Mormon is infused with the context that everyone hates them. It sounds like they know they're not worshiping Joseph Smith by celebrating his birthday. It's like, I guess it'd be like celebrating the birthday of an ancestor or the birthday of a president, like George Washington, or I don't know, or Martin Luther King or something. And we wouldn't say we're worshiping those people like gods, right? So they aren't allowing themselves, because they're trying to evade attacks from the outside. And, that's unfortunate. People should have freedom of religion. That's what our country is partially based on, right? I mean, in principle, not always in practice. But anyway, so we also heard Christine say that her and Cody's relationship isn't going well, and they're not working on it. And she... the gears were kind of turning in her head as she was saying those things. And I wonder what that means. Does it mean that she wishes they were working on it, or she's pessimistic about it, or that's what they typically do, is sweep it under the rug? I don't know.
Get your light from another light source, like Heavenly Father, and light your candle.
Well, Christine's very different than she used to be. In dealing with family marriage counseling and things like that, you have to learn to own your stuff.
I feel like as a person, as an individual, I'm doing fine. And, working on things.
I will say I like the piano music bed. Typically the music beds on these reality TV shows are not the best, but this is just a subtle little minor key. We heard of therapy. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'd love to hear more about that. But I also wonder if it's actual therapy or if it's with another, with a leader of the church. Sometimes they'll call that counseling, and sometimes it is licensed counselors that are in those positions. Anyway, so I'm guessing that for Christine, she's been celebrating Joseph Smith's birthday for a long time, before she was born, and it's a big deal to her, and it would be a huge loss for her. She's like, well, what else could we celebrate? And basically just have a very similar family experience, but have it be a different religious celebration. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So a lot of us, including myself, we really wish that we had more time in the week, you know? There's always so much to do. And if we don't watch it, we might pack our entire day with obligations, never taking any time for ourselves. I mean, think of all the things you would do if you had more free time, like going to lunch with a friend, or even, God forbid, going to therapy. But it's kind of a catch-22, because without therapy, we might be putting ourselves on the back burner, never allowing ourselves to take time for ourselves, to focus on us and our needs. So sometimes we just need to take that leap and allocate that 1 hour a week to therapy, that 1 hour a week just for us. Well, one place you can find a therapist is at BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's definitely worth giving a try. So never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
And you have the light within you, so now you take that and you share it with others. So
It's easy when you're in a situation like that to put blame on the other person. You know, and I know that that's what Christine's doing, and I know that that's what Cody's doing. And the biggest thing that you have to do in a situation like that is look inward and figure out yourself, because you're not going to change the other person no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, it's complicated and case by case, but those are wise words. I think about those as a therapist and as a husband frequently. And for Mary, her observation is that Christine and Cody are just blaming each other while not looking inward and looking as to see what they could change. That's interesting. Mary seemed to start off by saying that Christine is blaming him, and then it seemed like she kind of added on, oh, and he's doing it too. So I don't know what that means.
Doesn't matter how many times you tell them they're being stupid. They're not going to listen to you.
Thanks for dinner, Christine.
I had a lot of helpers tonight. It was wonderful. No, we're just kind of leaving our relationship alone right now. I don't know. Hoping that time will fix it. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So that looks like defeat to her. So if I'm going to take a guess, given what Mary just said, is that both of them have tried to work it out and it's not working, and it seems not worth even trying to work. Sometimes trying to work it out makes it worse, right? Or at least temporarily worse. And, you know, she says, well, hopefully time will just work it out. And I'm thinking, that has never happened in the history of humankind. Time, what does time do? Maybe time can cool people off, but this doesn't sound like a temporary amount of distress. It seems like something fundamental, which they haven't told us what it is. And haven't really even shown us. They are both, particularly Christine, is talking, I think it's distance or something. I don't know. I'm sure it's way more complicated than we could possibly speculate. You know, the obvious narrative, I'm sure that it's simplistic. I mean, it's possible that this is what it is, but given my experience, when I assess couples, they'll come into my office, and I usually will, by the end of the hour, have a set of early hypotheses. And all of the time, those hypotheses, at the very least, become way more nuanced and complicated and deepened as I go through more and more sessions. But also, inevitably, there are other hypotheses that completely escaped me, and I had hours and hours of time to ask questions, and they're being, presumably honest with me. So for us to watch this and draw any conclusions without them telling us anything specific, it would be unwise. But the simplistic narrative is that because Robin is in the family, Christine feels shut out or rejected, and that's the whole reason for this, and that Cody is spending too much time with Robin or something. Yeah, and I've been over this already, and I won't go down the road again, but in brief, it's possible that if these adults were allowed to have the life that they would have normally, whether that be polyamory or otherwise, then this whole thing would have looked differently. Is this best for everyone? Is Cody capable, in terms of his heart, of sustaining the lovey-dovey feelings between him and Mary and him and Janelle and him and Christine, as he is falling deeply in love with Robin, which hasn't happened in 20 years or something. So, in terms of the last time he had that new relationship energy, that's a tall order for anybody. Even for polyamorous people, they'll say that's difficult to do and maybe impossible to some level. So yeah, I just wonder. Now, then you ask, so if Cody's not capable, then why did he decide to add another person? It seems like there's a risk there. But I'm guessing that it's way more nuanced than that. I'm sure there are things that if we knew behind the scenes, we would say, oh, Christine is making these mistakes and Cody is making these mistakes, and they're misunderstanding each other in this way, or there's this feedback loop where, like one scenario I could see is that she feels hurt and rejected by the inclusion of Robin. She sees Cody giving Robin attention, and it's threatening to her naturally. And as Cody is doing that, Christine is in a bad mood. Like, let's say the first time this happens and it's their time, Christine and Cody, Christine is a little miffed about it, right? And at first Cody is accommodating because he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. And then he has to switch to Janelle and to Mary and then back to Robin. He comes back to Christine. She's still in a bad mood, kind of, and maybe even worse because of the deprivation for a number of days. And Cody is saying, okay, I've got to step up and I've got to help. I've got to address this and shower her with love. And he's able to do that. And then he does the rounds again. Next time he comes around and he's tired, he's in a bad mood, and she's still in a bad mood. She's still hurt. And it's just a drain on him. And then he, this is just one scenario. Like, there's a whole other, he could have not been accommodating, who knows. I would understand both of these positions, by the way. Like, both of these I would totally get. And then Cody is just drained, and he just can't, he just doesn't have it in him. I mean, none of us do have it in us to be on point with our marriage every single day. It's just like not possible. So he is not mean, but he's not particularly nice, and there's tension there, and that makes her feel even worse. He does the rounds again. He comes back around. She's even worse, and he's just like, look, what do you want? He goes around, comes back, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, even though both people are reasonable. It's reasonable that she would be hurt. It's reasonable that he would only have so much time and energy and might have a hard, he might say, well, maybe I'll just wait it out. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Now, there's all these other avenues where she, behind the scenes, was saying, you better not marry another person. I mean, the way that they narrativize it, Mary and at least Mary and maybe Mary and Janelle were pretty on board, if not really wanting another sister wife. I don't know. And then I learned from Christine, who I interviewed in the previous episodes, the former member of AUB, she said that if you have 3 wives, then you get into the celestial kingdom, which is like the really great heaven. And then if you have 5 wives, then you're a prince in the celestial kingdom. And if you have 7 wives, then you're a god in the top heaven. So maybe they're motivated by that. Are they going to marry? There's a lot of more seasons. Are they going to marry another? I mean, I'm guessing it's possible because they're going to attract a lot of attention. They might even get a lot of converts to their group.
All right, let's go.
Let's go, come on.
Can I at least go to my house? Come on, just Logan.
Get out.
So after we were done with the Hanukkah dinner, we went Christmas caroling because we are an equal opportunity family when it comes to holiday celebrations.
I wonder how Jewish people feel about all of this. Jewish people aren't a monolith. Any Jewish people out there, how did you feel, or how would you feel about this? It seems a little fishy, because Rebecca, my co-host on the podcast, is Jewish, and I don't know how she would feel about this, but she has a chip on her shoulder naturally about Christmas and just how much it dominates culture. And she was born on Christmas. Her birthday is on Christmas. So whenever Christmas topics come up, it's a sore subject for her. So I imagine her watching this would be like, wait, so one, you're not Jewish. Two, you're celebrating Hanukkah as a replacement for Joseph Smith's birthday, and then you're singing Christmas carols. All right, well, that does it for that episode. We are having our 16-year anniversary live stream on September 14 and 15, 8 hours straight for each days, totaling 16 straight hours with a break for sleep. And you can join us on YouTube for that. If you want to send in your cards or your fan mail or your fan art, then you can do that either just by DMing it to us. I guess the easiest way would be over email, but you could also send over Instagram, I suppose. Stacy checks that inbox a lot. Also, if you wanted to mail something, you could use the mailing address, which is on our website. It might be in the description below. I don't think so. But anyway, it's on our website on the front, on the bottom of the homepage. And also, I have been updating the website a bit. And if you're interested in reading the history of psychology in Seattle or my own credentials or whatever, I spent a lot of time trying to write a comprehensive but concise enough description of both of those things. And but mainly join us for the live show. And if you want to send in your things so that we open those things at the live show, which can be kind of fun, then you want to send those things in, as soon as possible. And everyone out there. Oh, and if you do art, if you could, a lot of people just do my face, which, I guess makes sense because you stare at it all the time. That sounds funny. But if you wanted to include yourself in it, or some of the characters, or the other co-hosts, or my wife, or whatever, that's always appreciated as well. Because I often will put it up in my office, and if it's just a bunch of drawings of my face, it feels extremely narcissistic. Whereas if it's a bunch of people and I'm included, then it just feels like a big, fun group of people to me that greets me whenever I walk in my office, which is all the time, every day, 7 days a week. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.